Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lamone, and this is my review for WWE Crown Jewel 2024. But before we get into that, let's get the housekeeping out of the way, shall I? I'm going to leave a like. Comment below, let me know your thoughts on Crown Jewel, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I will greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the reviews, shall we? So, Crown Jewel, it was quite a ride heading into this one. I mean, to say this arc felt a little weird would be an understatement because I would say the overall kind of assumption, for lack of a better word, was that we just got to get past Crown Jewel. We just got to get past Crown Jewel. It kind of feels like a filler PLE. Once we get past Crown Jewel, then we can focus on Survivor Series. We'll start getting great again. And then towards as we got to the final weeks, when we got past the 5-match card rule, right? Where we added Orton versus Kevin Owens, the 6-man tag, the triple threat United States title match, hell, even the fatal 4-way tag team. We're like, hey, Crown Jewel just got really interesting. And so we tuned in to see, hey, was it a filler PLE or was it a pretty banger show? And would it be weird for me to say that it was both? Like, there was a lot of consumption of that, hey, yeah, this is just a step in the road. Now we're going on into the main finale, so on and so forth. I mean, hell, let's just kick it off with the Crown Jewel Championships, right? Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax and Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. First of all, before we even get into the matches, I gotta say this Crown Jewel crowd was probably the best Saudi crowd that I have ever seen ever since they've gone to it. I mean, these Saudi shows have gone from a glorified house show to just, hey, they are taking these PLEs a little bit more seriously, and that's on WWE, not on Saudi Arabia. But this crowd was absolutely phenomenal, especially during the main event of Gunther versus Cody Rhodes. You could tell that this match actually meant something to them. To see these two world champions face off, it really felt like a dream match in a lot of ways, and it was a dream match for the record. But we'll kick off with the women here, and I would say Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan, out of all 7 matches, really 6, because Kevin Owens and Randy Orton never really started. It was the weakest out of all 6. To me, personally, I just think they hit the shenanigans buttons way too early. Now, I expected shenanigans going into the match. I will also say maybe some of the structure of the match kind of got thrown out the window once Rhea Ripley got hurt, right? Like, I'm sure Rhea Ripley was supposed to come in as well. Maybe Tiffany was actually supposed to cash in. Maybe she wasn't. But I do think once Rhea Ripley got hurt, I think the formation of the match did hurt a little bit, because I do think Tiffany was supposed to come out. Then Raquel and Dominic was supposed to come out. Then Rhea was supposed to come out. And then it was just supposed to be this big, cluster F, which could be a good thing, which could have been a bad thing for this match. And still, at the end of the day, it was a cluster F. I can't say F-U-C-K because of YouTube guidelines, but it was a cluster at the end of the day. And I just think the match went way too fast in order to push that shenanigans button. I would have liked to see Nia and Liv go back and forth a little bit longer too. And hell, I wouldn't have mind seeing Raquel come out before Tiffany. I think Tiffany coming out to do the cash in, and then the ref going, well, on which title, and there'll be some confusion, and then we do the tease. I also think we may have peaked with the whole, I'm going to cash in, oh, I don't know, and then Nia's like, what are you doing? You go away. It's like, no, you're Miss Money in the Bank. You could do whatever you want. I think it's now time. Hey, Tiffany, it's time to cash in. Maybe it's that Survivor Series where we do Nia Jax versus Naomi for the women's title. Nia Jax holds on, but she's obviously clearly hurt, and this is when Tiffany finally pulls the trigger. So yeah, out of all 6 matches, I would say the women's Crown Jewel Championship was the weakest out of all of them. To me personally, I am glad Liv Morgan won, because look, I've been saying it for the whole year, right? The women's world title felt significantly more important than the WWE women's title. Now, that has changed a little bit as we have progressed, because I am more invested in the Tiffany and Nia story around the WWE women's title on SmackDown more than I am with Rhea and Liv. There was a time, though, where that women's world title had my attention much more than a WWE women's title for the whole year. So I think it was just a good catapult culmination, I should say, for the whole entire year, that yes, the women's world title is the A title for 2024, hell 2023 as well. And Liv has had a hell of a year too, and you could tell that it meant a lot to her. I mean, it was hard for her to stay in character after she got the 3. Hell, even during the ceremony after the PLE, she was pretty emotional as well. Like, she found back to be back in character. She was like, look, I know this moment isn't lost on me. I know how important this is, but I am the greatest world champion of all time. It's like, there it was. She found her character. I'm just happy for her. I would have been happy if Nia would have won too, because again, I think she has done amazing work. But I do think this is a good reflection on the year as a whole on which champion is the main champion. And I will say that for the men's championship as well. Gunther and Cody tore the house down. To me, this was absolutely the best match of the night. And it really did feel... Now, the crowd definitely had an indication in that as well. I mean, they were so loud all the way through. But this really did feel like the best of Raw and the best of SmackDown are going head-to-head and just having a full-on classic. I really do think like it's like a 4.75 stars, 6.75 if you put it in the Tokyo Dome. To me personally, it did have a little bit of a slow start, which is why I would give it not the whole 5. But I also love the finish too. That like, look, if you are going to do the clean win, main way would go is like, hey, Gunther needs to win, and he just passes out Cody. And I was saying the whole week that Gunther needs to win more than Cody, not just for Gunther, but for the World Heavyweight title to really make sure that they're equal. But, like I said, for the women's title, if the women's world title is more important than the WWE women's title for the whole year of 2023, by far the WWE championship is much more important than the World Heavyweight title. So yeah, Cody gets the win. He signifies that he is the main champion. And Gunther, I like, they had the handshake and goes, hey, you got me by 3 seconds. It came down to a surprise roll-up or just a surprise pin where, he didn't beat Gunther. He was just better than Gunther for 3 seconds, which was a really good story. And I really like the storyline of, hey, it meant more to Gunther to make Cody pass out more than to just beat Cody. If he would have just focused on, doing the power bomb and trying to get the 1, 2, 3, then, maybe we would have been singing a different tune. But he did keep going back to that headlock because he wanted to make sure he got the submission. So I did like that storyline through the whole entire storyline. But again, Cody did not beat Gunther. He survived Gunther for 3 seconds, which still makes them pretty feel equal. And now we move on. Now they can actually defend their titles again. I did see that Cody posted his schedule and Survivor Series wasn't on the list, which is kind of surprising to me because this will go 3 months since he's defended the title. So yeah, we'll be interested to see how that is, but I am glad that now we can move past the Crown Jewel Championship stuff and now Liv can go back to Rhea. If Rhea's healthy again, I really hope they don't prolong this to Mania, and if they do, it's just about who the better woman is, and it's not about the ex that is once was in their past. And Cody can go to face Kevin Owens, or maybe he joins the Bloodline and the War Games. Because I still think Kevin Owens is going to join the new Bloodline. Because I do think Sammy's going to really mess with him quite a bit. Let's talk about that 6-man tag, shall we? OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline, where the storyline was, can Jay and Roman coexist? And at the end of the day, it was kind of like Jay that kind of screwed it up. Because it really did feel like he had to prove to Roman that he really was his own man, even though he already did it. Because he refused to tag him in until he had to do it. I will say out of all the Bloodline matches, it was probably the sloppiest out of all of them. Not my favorite one, but this is not the main thing that's the takeaway, right? The takeaway is to get to War Games, and it was all about the post-match angle. Sami Zayn coming out, act like he's going to hug Solo. He doesn't. He sides with Jey Uso. He does not side with Roman. He haluva kicks Roman Reigns as Roman Reigns is going for the Superman punch. I do fully suspect Roman to show up on Raw Monday. It is in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia loves Roman Reigns, and they can have that segment where they do come together, and we can actually let's just go ahead and confirm it. Let's just confirm that we are going to do OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline in War Games at Survivor Series, and let's just do 4 weeks of these fantasy warfare matches. We can do Jey Uso versus Jacob Fatu for the advantage at Survivor Series. But yeah, I liked everything that we did post-match angle-wise, but the match overall, again, it was just one of these things where, when it comes to the Bloodline, you have to wait for the ref bump, or if there isn't a ref bump, it's all about what happens in the post-match angle as for the match itself. But yeah, out of all the 6-man tags, it wasn't my favorite, and I kind of get that Jay didn't want to tag Roman in the whole entire time, but at the same time, it's like, you already said you were going to work with him. actually work with him, you know what I mean? But yeah, those were the main matches that were for Crown Jewel, but I would say those three, besides Gunther and Cody, which to me really was the best match of the night, we had some good middle matches too. This Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team match was actually a lot of fun. Now, I do hate the rule that only 2 of them can start. Like, I get it, you don't want to overcrowd the bodies because, there's already going to be 4 bodies outside. Now you got 4 bodies inside, and the people can be like, well, I can't really see because there's bodies everywhere, and it's going to be hard to keep up with. But it's just really hard, with the 2, and, okay, now another team has to tag in and all that stuff with them throughout it. I liked all of the stuff that Piper Niven and Chelsea Green did. They were very funny all the way through. Very good showcase for Lash Legend and Shakara Jackson. I like the stare down that her and Jade were doing as well. I am liking also, because commentary talked about it, is that they are implementing, hey, Jade doesn't do a whole lot in these tag matches. It's really Bianca really doing most of the heavy lifting. I personally don't have a problem with it. I know a lot of people online have issues with it, but I do like how we're now starting making it a storyline point, because I do think Bianca and Jade are about to break up. Maybe it's at Survivor Series, maybe it's at the Rumble, but those tag titles are not going to last much longer on them. And this is when, Bianca's like, I did most of the workload. And Jade's going to be like, yeah, well, I got most of the wins because I played cleanup. And then, I don't know who works heel or who works face, but this can be and should be the first women's match at Mania, the one-on-one match that doesn't have a title revolving around it. So yeah, I am glad that we're starting to talk about that quite a bit. Damage Control was kind of just there. It really did feel like that way. But yeah, overall, very fun match. I think it was the first women's match in Saudi Arabia to get a "This is awesome" chant. So again, we'll continue to break those barriers and make that progression. Very fun 4-way match. I like all the story elements for it. I do hope Lash Legend Jakara Jackson just called up now. I don't see them the need to go back to NXT. I don't know what work they would do down there. The North American Championship scene is doing pretty well. Fallon Hilling, we got Kalani James, and then the new girl that just got her, who changed her name that I cannot remember in my mind. So that North American Championship is pretty well loaded, and then Roxanne Perez is just doing fantastic work until next year. So yeah, just bring them up. Just bring them up and, have them mixed in a little bit. Maybe it is time to bring that women's mid-card title into the fold. But yeah, I'm just really happy that the women's tag team championship scene is starting to look healthy. Now let's get some new challengers in there. Let's just keep the ball rolling until Jade and Bianca lose those titles, and then we can keep it going past their reign. Now, the triple threat match, LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. I thought that would be the best match overall. It was probably my second. Fantastic finish. Great finish with Andrade, Carmelo getting him, and then he was going to do like a skull crusher finale type, but LA Knight hit the blood force trauma to get the 1-2-3 to hold on. I knew he was going to hold on. I wouldn't have minded if Andrade or Carmelo won, and then we could have the proper Game 7 be for the United States Championship. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I do fully expect us to get the proper Game 7 at some point, because that would be pretty messed up if that's just how the series ends. But yeah, with LA Knight having that new strap with the LAs all written around it, they're going to sell it. It's going to make a lot of money. You can't take the title off him yet because you need to showcase as much as possible. But yeah, that was a very fun match as well. A lot of good spots. Really loved the beginning. I like some of the spots. Just an overall very fun match. But the finish was very, very inventive, and I very much enjoyed it. I do believe that is all. 1, 2, and then we got the 6-man, and then we talked about the 4-way, then we talked about the triple threat. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens angle. That was pretty good. I kind of wish that we had just the match. Oh yeah, Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins. We'll get to that. But yeah, I kind of wish that there was an actual match and Kevin Owens just killed him. Like I really do wish they just did ref stoppage back to our Evolution. Was it our Evolution or was it Rival? Where Kevin Owens just beat Sami Zayn so bad that the ref just had to stop it. And then, Kevin Owens then moves on, and Orton probably takes the rest of the year off. But I did like how, hey, the match didn't get started in general. They hate each other that much. They brawled all the way through. Kevin Owens beat up some referees. Orton RKO'd Adam Pearce. They went outside. Kevin Owens doing a swanton off of that, or was it an elbow? Doesn't matter. They're both hurt, and it justified why Kevin Owens didn't interfere during the Cody match at all. So yeah, very fun angle. But now Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins. I liked everything that we did. I just think the wrong person won. I think Bronson Reed needed the win. I don't think Seth necessarily needed it. Unless you're going to do Seth Rollins versus Gunther, which I really don't see us doing. I actually see Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins continuing on after Bronson Reed got up. And I'm just kind of like, if Bronson Reed's going to get up after 3 seconds, why not just have him kick out? You know, like there was a lot of different ways we could have gone about this. Now I get it. If Bronson Reed wins, then Seth is probably just like, all right, he got the better of me, so I guess I'll just move on to my next chapter or whatever. And with Bronson Reed losing, Bronson Reed's like, nope, I want another shot. I know I can beat him. And then he can go back and re-tackle. And then we can have round 2 at Survivor Series, presumably. But I just really think with all the work that we've done to Bronson Reed, I think he needed that visual pinfall on the first match. He could have lost the next 2 and it would have been just fine. I don't think a loss would have hurt Seth necessarily, regardless that his last win was in Survivor Series of 2023. I really don't think it hurts him whatsoever because he is just that big of a star. But yeah, overall, again, very fun match. I like how Seth jumped him before and everything that we did, was just high spots really for the whole entire way through. It really did feel like Peter Griffin versus the Chicken. I just think the wrong person won. But we'll see how this storyline progresses as we move forward. I do not see Seth Rollins being involved within that Fatal 4-Way. I do see Bronson Reed attacking him before then maybe a CM Punk takes his place to add to that storyline because of the rumor that's going to be Gunther versus Punk at Survivor Series. But yeah, that was Crown Jewel. Again, it was a pretty fun show. I enjoyed all of the matches to a degree. I just didn't like some of the finishes, and really the only match that I was like, oh man, they didn't really, there was just a lot of things going on with it, was the inaugural Crown Jewel, women's Crown Jewel match. But besides that, I think it was a pretty fine show overall. Now we're on the Survivor Series where the storylines are going to be taken full on focus, and now that we have moved past the Saudi shows. But yeah, Saudi, Riyadh, hell of a job with the crowd work. It was absolutely fantastic. I thought the crowd was amazing. Good show overall, but I am glad to move past it, and now we can get rolling on to Survivor Series. But comment below, let me know your thoughts. If you made it this far, please leave a like. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow in my YouTube career. We have a lot of content in your way. Along with 2025, we're going to be very, very busy. We're going to try to get to that 500 subs. So yeah, hit that subscribe button to help me get to that goal. And until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Limit Studios.